Welcome to Tyche Books Live Hangout. Today we are with Kristal MacWhirter, who has done the audio narration for Blightcross and is actually done Seeing the Light, which hasn't actually been released yet, but will be released soonish. Hi.
Hi.
So we're going to start. Tell the people who you are.
As you know, my name is Kristal MacWhirter. I am a recent graduate of the MFA Theater Studies program at the University of Calgary. Right now, I'm just kind of moving into the real world again after a long stint in school.
So what does MFA stand for?
Master of Fine Arts.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Also, a reminder: um, we are live. If you want to ask questions, feel free. You just have to be signed into YouTube to do that. So why don't we start with your recording setup? What does your area look like? Hopefully not as messy as mine.
I usually do work in my living room. I have to wait until my roommates are not home because I can't say, hey, can you guys just like stop talking or doing anything for like an hour? Is that cool? So I do have to arrange around their schedule to an extent. I actually use my phone for the actual recording. I've just found that the mic on it is the best quality that I have access to, and I use a program called RecForge to do the recording with.
PC? Mac?
Phone.
Oh, okay. So you don't upload it until
I don't. I never had to. I can actually upload it directly from my
straight
phone
to Dropbox.
up to Dropbox. Yeah,
Well,
it's kind of neat.
It is. Yeah. I've actually recommended people who've had trouble with sound say use your phone.
Yeah. Well, the mic is great. Like
it is
for what I
And you put it down. I'm assuming because if you hold it, you get movements. Or
that's exactly, yeah. I set it beside me. I just have the earpiece in my ear, and yeah, just go. Got my computer in front of me, which has my book on it.
I can send you the Kindle versions or whatever if you want.
Yeah.
For the future ones.
Yeah.
You just have to let me know. Non sequitur, sorry.
Completely a separate subject.
And we do that. I once did an interview with one of the authors, and we got talking gaming. So, okay. So, how long does it take you to record? Like Blightcross, when it was finished, they're all close to 10 hours.
Yeah.
Finished. How long does it take you to do an unfinished product?
Well, obviously, I mean, I've only done 2 so far, so it's a small sample size. But I'd say Blightcross probably took me longer than Seeing Light. Blightcross, I probably put 25, 30 hours in for a 12. I think it was a 12-hour book by the end of it.
They usually say to double it. So
yeah,
about right.
Yeah, and I think Seeing the Light took a little less time, just more experience, less, more warming up beforehand, less fumbles, I think.
Yes.
And less edits, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot less edits on my side for it too. Let's see. Oh, look at that. We've got people watching.
Yay!
Are they asking questions? Yeah. So, out of the books, we might as well go each, and then we'll do overall. Did you have a favorite character or line or something you went, hey, that's?
I think my favorite character, just purely on like I identified with her the most, as Marie Jenner from Seeing the Light. She's very me, like very sarcastic, very very much like what is going on and why am I doing this kind of character. And I liked her witty banter a lot. I'm a big fan of the witty banter. So yeah, it was that was neat. For sure.
She's got a second book coming out end of this year.
Nice.
So. Yeah, apparently there was 8 in the series. Eileen mentioned that at its book launch at the Owl's Nest, and we went, okay.
Oh wow, that's
exactly.
That's good.
Because we didn't know ahead of time. And actually, under Small World, is this working?
I don't know.
There we go. I think it's just not picking me up very loudly. And under the small world thing, and let me know if you're having trouble hearing it. Please let us know.
Yeah, just say something.
Yeah, in the comments.
Talk.
That's right. Under Small World, we were doing the book launch for Seeing the Light at the Owl's Nest.
Mm-hmm.
And the manager was saying, I was having coffee with a friend of mine. And I said, oh, we're doing this book launch for Seeing the Light. And the friend of mine went, I'm doing the audiobook.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, she is one of my oldest and best friends in the world, actually. So that was that was a really neat little, oh wow, I had no idea.
I call it a small world moment.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah,
just,
absolutely.
do you have favorite lines?
You
Do you remember them?
There are times when I'm like, that's really cool, but I don't necessarily retain that line in my head for very long.
Like reading, if you read 2 or 3 books.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been like how many months, especially for Blightcross, since I recorded.
Seeing the Light, you've only just recently finished.
Yes. But I will say I love just thinking of Seeing the Light, the dialogue. Like I said, I like the witty banter, and I love the earthy feel of Farley's dialogue in it. He's always like just a little bit rougher around the edges.
Did you find you approached it different, being from 2 points of view? I mean, I know you're more just you narrated more than.
Yeah, I tend to narrate more than I do voices. I think for just in a sense for simplicity's sake, but I do tend to attach. It's not exactly a voice, but a feel of a voice. Like so, Farley I think of as much earthier, much rougher, a little more casual. Marie has more of a sarcastic, ironic bent to her voice. So it's not necessarily, I'm not like making a little voice like this, but I will, I will add a tone to the character.
You've got a pretty earthy voice anyways. You have that little sexy to it.
It's quite low. My sister says that when she has a cold, she sounds like me.
Look at this. See, we did all the questions Margaret gave us.
Yay!
Because I don't do ad-lib well. Go past any of the past stuff. Actually, there is one about what you're doing in the future, but I like to leave that till we're done.
Yeah, so if anybody out there would like to ask me anything.
The next thing I should ask, though, now that my mind went blank, besides what works for us, we were discussing upcoming works. We've already expressed an interest in the upcoming Ungilded.
Mm-hmm.
What can people, well, I guess I am doing this now, can people look for you doing?
Well, I recently did a very, very tiny background role in Young Drunk Punk, which is filming in Calgary in the area. And when I say background role, I mean I walk behind Bruce McCullough as he's talking, which is kind of neat. But if you don't know it's me, you won't have a clue that it's me. So that's kind of cool. I'm also working on a series of films with a couple of friends about some, essentially it's about women's stories, women who are now based in Calgary but are from all over, and their stories, and trying to bring those stories into the light. That is an ongoing project. I can't give you any kind of release date for any of that, but that is what I'm working on right now, theatrically speaking.
Do you have plans, hopes, aspirations to expand in the audiobook field?
I am enjoying very much reading aloud. It's always been, I've always loved to read aloud. I read to my nieces and my nephew. I'll read to anybody, like, hey, would you like to read this? Yes, I would. I was always the one in class who was like, I want to read it. Can I read? So for me, this is very much like, it was like, oh, this is my niche. This is totally what I love to do. And I'm getting paid for it. So how is that bad? So yeah, I would like to do more. I would definitely like to expand and do more.
So I guess acting is good too, because in a way you're reading.
I'm just reading from my head instead of.
Well, you're given a script.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I'm reading it out of my head instead of just reading off the page, for sure.
This is how a lot of them end, with me going, um, um, and we're only 10 minutes in. Do you have any aspirations outside of, how do I word this? On the other side of the camera?
I enjoy
the other side of the page.
Yeah, I'm one of those people, and I get yelled at a lot in theater world for being like, I want to do all the things, because apparently that's bad. I don't know why, but I do like to do pretty much anything involved in theater. I've directed, I've written plays, I have done stage management to actually a pretty wide extent, and I enjoy doing all of those things. I've done a bit of tech, although less so than the other stuff. So yeah, for me, I want to be able to walk into a theater and just say, so what do you need? Let me do that for you. I do makeup. Yeah, so pretty much anything in theater I am interested in and want to do more of.
And what about on the other side of a page? Have you thought about writing yourself?
I am actually currently working on a book. It is in the very, very early. It's something I started in my third year of university, and then just kind of everything exploded in my life, and I had no time. So it just kind of went by the wayside, and I've just picked it up again, and started working on it. So yeah, I am working on that. And hopefully I will find the time to actually finish it. Because I'm sure there's lots of people that pick up and start writing and then never actually finish.
And when this is over, we have to talk, because I'll have to tell you about things.
Okay.
No, it's when most people know it, when words collide, is it's pretty much narrowly focused at authors. So you get hints and tips and everything you need to know, and contacts. Like, we're there. Tyche Books will be there, and Jin Penguin Books usually has a representative, not in the dealer's room, but she does blue pencils and talks and stuff. Yeah. So it's definitely. Eileen said she was going to join us. Did I see her? So I guess the next question is, let's bring it back to audiobooks. We've gone all over the place.
As you do.
As we do, especially when I interview. People who've watched the interviews know I don't even know why I do this, because I enjoy it, but I don't do it well. I get to the point of Okay, back to the audiobook. So you set up in your living room and you do it on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
How do you prevent the echo effect?
I had to kind of work on that a bit. Like, I know there was a few times where, because I started out trying to hold the mic in a certain position, and then I tried to like let it hang, and it just got to the point where I figured out exactly how I need to sit in order for it to hang the right way, so that it's not doing anything weird, and I'm not getting weird like plosives or things like that, because that definitely was something I had to kind of play.
Yes, yeah, every once in a while I sent things back.
Yeah. Okay. Don't do that.
Especially early, the Blightcross being your first book.
Yes.
You know, Seeing the Light was a lot less, as we've mentioned several times. And I'm assuming Ungilded will be
even less, hopefully.
Yes.
I'm hoping.
So let's go through that. Let's go through the process of what is involved on both our sides in creating an audiobook.
Okay.
So first thing I do is I send you the draft manuscript. So that you can look it over. Mm-hmm. It's not even as in Seeing the Light, it wasn't even finished on our end when I sent you the original one. Mm-hmm. And then you read it.
Then I read it. Yes. Obviously, I don't memorize it. That would take far longer than I have to do. But I do try to read it and get an idea of characters, an idea of what direction it's going. So if there's a character in there that starts out like seeming good and turns out to be evil, I might want to give a different, tone to their dialogue. So I do like to get at least most of the way through the book before I start recording. And then I usually, depending on, I mean, Blightcross and Seeing the Light were both different in that Blightcross had fairly long chapters, and Seeing the Light was much less so. So Blightcross, I did it chapter by chapter, and Seeing the Light, it started to be like, okay, this chapter is 3 minutes long. I should probably like.
Well, yeah, and even I commented on that because you were doing it still chapter by chapter, and I said, you can combine them and just send me one big file.
Yeah, so I would do, 3, even 4 or 5 chapters at a time, for that one. It just, for me, it depends on how long I can go without starting to kind of strain my voice. I do try to do some vocal warm up before I start, and I will often read the first 3 or 4 paragraphs out loud without the mic on before I'll start actually recording, just to kind of give myself that lead in that I need.
How much water do you drink as you're going?
Probably not enough.
Because I'm sure your voice dries out.
But yes, I always have a glass of water nearby when I'm recording. And then I have to be like real quick on the pause button because nobody needs to hear me drinking my water.
You're pretty good with that because I don't think I've cut out any water sounds.
Oh, good.
So I give you the rough draft, and then I give you the final version when we're ready.
Mm-hmm.
At least on Blightcross was already done because Blightcross was Tyche's very first book, period. So Blightcross was already done, but on Seeing the Light, then I gave you the final version, and I think, did you go by that or did you mostly use the changes were minor, so I don't think there was.
I think I ended up using the final version of it.
Because yeah, you must have, because otherwise I would have caught changes.
Yeah.
So you record. We have a shared Dropbox folder,
Mm-hmm.
and you upload the files.
Yes.
Eventually, I get to them.
Well, and it's funny because my Dropbox also holds like all my photos and all my stuff, so I always know like when it starts to get high on the. I'm like, oh, I hope Rhea comes along and clears it out soon because I don't have any more room.
You're free to poke me too.
No, it's so far it's never been like, no, you can't have any more, but it's gotten to the point where they're like, we're not going to let you upload anymore until you take something off, and I've gotten to take photos off and things like that.
Yeah, free to poke me. You're not the first one who's you've run out of space.
One of the things that I ran into with Blightcross is, of course, there is dialogue that is from a fantasy language, and that was a challenge. And I did have to email Clayton and be like, okay, I've got no clue. Like, I can't look this up. This is your language. How do I pronounce these words? And some of them were definitely, I had to practice like 3 or 4 or 5 times before I could get it out, that it sounded like I was speaking and not just sounding out the words as I went.
And there's a few words in, I think it was not so much Seeing the Light has regular language, but even there, what's that with you? I'm sorry, people, I've done so many audiobooks edited that I will go, okay, this word is actually pronounced like this.
Yeah.
Please see dictionary.com.
Yeah, and I know that occasionally, I know a lot of people who are readers do this. I'll learn how to pronounce a word not from actual like dialogue, but from reading. And so like for years when I was a kid, I thought that shrugged was shrudged. That's how I pronounced it. And I got laughed at. And I was like, oh, because in my head, that's how it sounded. So yeah, there's definitely the occasional word where I think I know what I'm saying. I think I know I'm saying it right. And it's like, no, don't, no.
Well, and we've even had, not with you, but one book was written from a British point of view. And they would pronounce things different. so there are things, if I catch them, it's fine, but that even I wouldn't catch.
Yes.
Because
Yes. And it would be, I can imagine it would be very frustrating for the author going, no.
yes, but most of 90% of our audience is American anyway, so they're fine with it.
They don't notice.
Yes.
But yes, that could be.
But yes.
So hopefully I got all the foreign words correct by the end of it.
If you hadn't, I would have flagged it. Because
That's
that's what happens. Then she'll send me the files, and I will download them from the Dropbox. And then I take the book on my iPad, and I listen to what she says and go line by line. And then I send her, because often words, when you're reading, you don't notice. I can't remember specifically from Seeing the Light, but I remember one from Heritage. The line was, he went up the hall, and the person said he went up the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're reading, you don't notice that. But because I'm going line by line, that's when I catch it, and I say, okay, well, send it back and say.
And I know, like, occasionally an author will use what seems to be a common phrase, and it'll start one way and it'll end differently than you expect it to, but you kind of keep going as if it's ending the way you expect it to, and then you go, wait, what did I just say?
Yeah, so for example, cash, I had to send that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there was a couple I sent you back
with the incorrect pronunciation.
But
yeah,
and some of it is strictly, like, I know when I am I say buried. A lot of people say buried. So if it's something like that, I let it go.
Right. If there's multiple pronunciations, then it's sort of reader's choice.
Exactly. Who am I to say I'm right or wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes you're trying to keep the flow, and you're reading at a pace, and so missing a word, you just don't even realize that you've done it.
And when you're just reading to yourself too, it happens.
Oh, all the time.
But your brain just goes with the flow.
Because your brain fills in that gap, but it comes out, and it's like, oh, that didn't actually make any kind of sense.
So she sends it to me, and I go back, I go over it, and I send it back to her and say, make these changes. And then she comes back, and I cut them in. If I'm really good that day, I'll have even written down the timestamps of where they were.
Helps.
And then I run it through. I run it through either the Levelator or some other leveling program. Okay. To keep it more or less level. Skype has its own version of Levelator. Levelator works quite well. It's another free program if anyone wants it. I run it through a noise reducer to get rid of background noises.
Okay.
And then I cut it up into. If they have individual chapters like Blightcross, I don't have to cut it up. If it's like Seeing the Light, though, which isn't really individual chapters, I've made it one big file, and then I decide how I'm going to cut it up from there.
That makes sense.
Then I make it pretty for everyone. Wants it different. Audible likes them in mono, which are the files you give me. You give me mono files, so that's fine. Others like stereo files, which is fine. I use Audacity, which is really good. It has a lot of, for a free program, it does an awful lot. So I make them pretty, and then I upload them to the various things. Audiobooks.com will send it, usually put it up within a week. Audible/iTunes, because Amazon handles both. I don't understand their time scale. It could be weeks, it could be months, it could be.
We're just never quite sure.
That's right. So for Seeing the Light, that's why I say soonish. I'm going to say end of March for sure, but it's not all my. It'll be up on audiobooks.com by the end of March. Audible and iTunes, it's out of my control after a certain point.
Right.
And then if they give us codes, we'll put up a little, give some to both you and Eileen. And then I put up a little flash contest, free codes from Audible, because they give us 20.
That's nice. Yeah.
So sometimes, not always. I haven't figured that out. Um, and that is the process. As exciting as that is.
If you ever wanted to know,
Yes.
that's what we do.
Anything you want to add?
I feel like we've talked about pretty much all I would want to talk about,
I think so.
unless somebody has questions.
Which I noticed they're not. We have all these people who said, "Hey, we're going to attend," and people have even said, "I have."
Just gonna watch, right? Yeah, I see that. I see that.
What are the comments?
Definitely gonna be there.
Well, some of them had. I multitask when I'm doing this.
Yeah, multitasking is good.
Oh. So anyway, some of them said they were hoping to ask questions, but we probably answered them when we went through the process.
Yeah, maybe we're just that good. We answered all the questions that you could possibly have asked.
That's right.
That's just how good we are.
This will be up on YouTube foreverish.
Forever is good.
So
Works for me.
So if you have people,
so when people Google my name, there'll be another video to look at.
That's right. So if people wanted to stalk you, do you have a web page?
I do not have a web page. I do have a Twitter account, and you're welcome to follow me on Twitter. It's K_San Diego.
Do I want to ask why?
I have a little bit of an obsession with Carmen Sandiego.
Oh.
I have a red hat and a red trench coat and everything. I dress like Carmen Sandiego sometimes, just for fun. But yeah, it's my Twitter account, and you're welcome to follow me. I don't often talk a lot, but I try to be witty and fun. So.
And hopefully you tweet where people can find you next.
Yeah. Well, and you can, find Carmen Sandiego.
You're going to be wandering around Calgary Expo, you said.
Yeah, I'll be at Calgary Expo. I work in the photo ops area, so I'll be there, and I'll be all over. I travel a lot, so
I'll have to try to sneak away from our table and say hi.
Yes, I would love that. That would be wonderful.
So say hi to Kristal. Tell her you love her audio work.
Leave a review if you like the book. If you don't
leave a review.
Don't leave a review. If you don't, why are you watching?
Well, there's 2 books, so
yes, if you like the books, I'd love to see what you think.
And we've already talked. Kristal's probably going to do Ungilded for us unless something else comes up.
Yeah.
But that's not till May.
Yes, so a little bit of time.
Yes.
Time for you to listen to the other 2 books and get ready and excited about the next one.
Yeah, I just noticed it does it reverse.
Yeah, I see that. It's turned it around on us.
Interesting.
Huh.
In case you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, YouTube
flips the video.
Flips the video, yes.
So yeah,
we record it through Google Plus, and it's correct in the Google Plus pane.
Because I'm actually right-handed, but if you look at the video, it sort of looks like I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
So I fit in with the rest of my family better.
Interesting. I never noticed that before. Well, we've been at this about half an hour, so that makes a pretty good interview.
I feel like it's good. Anybody done with questions? No questions?
Nobody's asked anything. Nobody loves
No, people are gonna come on like an hour from now and be like asking questions and wondering why we're not answering them because we're not recording anymore. We're done. So if that's you, you should have come earlier.
But before we end, I have to mention that next month is going to be a week earlier. It's going to be the first weekend of March because Simon has something happening. And there will be no recording in April because we have to get ready for Calgary Expo.
Calgary Expo, yeah.
Oh, you know what? We had that time error originally.
Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe everybody's going to show up at 3:00. I'm really sorry.
But they're usually always at 1, so we'll see.
Well, we had people watching, so yeah. Clearly somebody showed up.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was fun.
And we will talk to you another time.
Absolutely.